Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse, and we are in the middle of October. So today we've got a mid-October birding update for you. Some birds that you can find in your backyard and pictures of what they look like to help you better identify them, plus some other things that you might come across if you are out and about birding, if you're out and about by the water. As always, we love to know what kind of things you are seeing. You can put your sightings in the comments. If you have any questions, you can put those in there, or you can just say hi. So let's get started. First of all, there is still some movement going on. There is still some migration activity. It's not as active as it was a couple of weeks ago. But these are some maps from Birdcast of some upcoming migration from tonight going into tomorrow, and then Wednesday night going into Thursday, and Thursday night going into Friday. So you can see there's not a ton of migration happening, at least where I am in Western New York. But if you're more along the Mississippi Flyway, or if you're kind of further down south or along the Gulf, there is still some good migration coming through the area. But that being said, birds are still flowing through, and I'll show you some of the ones that you might be starting to see pop up in your backyard. I do want to say we do have some sales going on here at the store because it's heated bird bath season. We do have all of our non-heated cement bird baths and glazed bird baths on sale, and that includes our cement benches, that includes cement statuary. So all of that cement product or pottery product is on sale 30% off. So we do have a bird bath and bench sale going on right now. And just yesterday, we started a hardware sale. So all of our hardware, that's our pole systems, the metal baffles, even things like little S-hooks, any kind of deck mounting hardware, that is all 20% off. And that also includes, too, if you've got something like a bird buddy that you want to mount on a pole and you're not sure how to, we've got all that stuff, too, to make it easy for you to install one. So if you're interested in any kind of hardware items, now is the time to buy. But we are in heated bird bath time. It's starting to get to be that time. So we do have a whole bunch of heated bird baths in stock. We have just the heaters themselves that you can use in a pre-existing bird bath that might be metal or plastic. So we do have those in stock now as well for you guys. But getting into some of the birds that you might see. Although we are past our prime migration season, there are still some lingering birds like warblers that you might see in the area. Things like yellow-rumped warbler are still passing through. It's the tail end. And actually every once in a while in the winter months, every once in a while somebody will report a yellow-rumped warbler around. But in general, they are flying down south. You might see some small flocks of them kind of hopping around. I saw a nice big flock of them last week when I was out hiking, just passing through, and it's some pretty big numbers. So if you see some little birds hopping around, still could possibly be some warblers, things like yellow-rumped warbler or common yellowthroat is another one that you might see around in your backyard, in the trees and shrubs, or when you're out hiking. If you're by the water, keep an eye out for killdeer. They not only are passing through, but they call quite a bit, so you might hear them also. They've got that call that sounds like killdeer, 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 and they are also passing through. They'll be going south for the winter, but you still might get to see some views of killdeer. And then there's other birds that are coming into this area for this season. Waterfowl migration is definitely underway, and some birds are coming into the area that haven't been here recently, like the tundra swan. Now is about the time where they will start to flow in, and the little duck called the bufflehead. You can look for those starting to flow into the area too. But keep an eye out in your backyards on the sides of some of your trees too. If you see something that is acting kind of like a nuthatch or a woodpecker that's crawling along the side of your tree, but it's going up instead of down, could very well be a brown creeper. These little brown birds blend in really, really well with the bark of trees, but they tend to creep up the tree. They creep up, and then they'll stop they'll fly down to the base of the tree and then kind of keep zigzagging up as they look for some food. So brown creeper are around, you can look for them. And even yellow-bellied sapsucker. You might see a different type of woodpecker. It's not a downy woodpecker, it's not a hairy woodpecker. Kind of looks like either one of those, but more speckly with some red on the head or even on the throat. It could very well be a yellow-bellied sapsucker. So keep an eye out for those also passing through. And we do hear about some of those being around in the winter months also, but keep an eye out for the yellow-bellied sapsucker. And then here's some of your more common backyard birds you might see around this time of the year, things like red-winged blackbird. People are still getting them at their feeders. While they tend to go further south for the winter, some of them do stick around all year, kind of depending on how the winter season is going. If they can find enough food, they might stick around. Otherwise, they'll just kind of keep passing down south until they get to a place where food is more it's more common for them, where they can find some more food. Same with common grackle. For the most part, they are flowing out of the area. If you've had a lot of grackle activity at your bird feeders, you should start to see a decrease in that. If you haven't already, they tend to go further south for the winter. But just like some of these other birds, you might see one popping up in the winter months as a little surprise. And they will form mixed flocks too. The red-winged blackbirds, the grackles, you might see brown-headed cowbirds in there too. And so when they are migrating, they are quite hungry. They do tend to come to feeders. So as always, if you are having issues with big blackbird flocks at your feeders, you can always try the safflower seed. A lot of people switch to safflower seed in the spring when those birds are first starting to come back into the area and they're just so ravenous. They're eating a ton of food. The blackbirds don't like the safflower seed. So you can have just one feeder with the safflower seed and have another feeder for them to raid, or switch all to the safflower seed while you're having big flocks of blackbirds. But this is one thing you can do to help prevent those huge flocks of blackbirds coming to your bird feeder, which does happen. But other birds love the safflower seed. So the blackbirds don't like it, but birds like cardinals absolutely love it. That seems to be the preference of the cardinals. When I've got different types of seed out in the yard, the safflower is constantly the thing that they go to. We have it in the loose seed that you can just pour into your feeders. We also have it in the seed logs. We have it in suet cake sizes. So there's a lot of different options to feed the safflower. And the house finches absolutely love it too. So you might be seeing house finches at your backyard feeders. They're going to be here all winter long, and they also really love the safflower. Another bird to be on the lookout for, which might come to your safflower feeder or black oil sunflower feeder, is the purple finch. We talked about the purple finch a little bit more last Tuesday when we had Matt Young from the Finch Research Network on the broadcast. And purple finch are already moving kind of south into the U.S. in bigger numbers than they have in the past. They tend to be more common at feeders in the wintertime, so keep an eye out at your feeders for purple finch. They're a little bit larger than the house finch. The males don't have as many stripes on them as the house finch do, and the purple finch also have a bigger bill. So they do have a larger bill than the house finch, which can be kind of hard to tell unless you're seeing one next to the other. But lots of reports of dark-eyed junco starting to come back into the area. They'll be here all winter long. These little gray songbirds with a white belly and pink bill, and they are known to hop along underneath bird feeders picking up sunflower seed. They love the millet, sunflower hearts. So you're probably starting to see dark-eyed junco back in your yard. It's always a sign that the weather is turning. And then another bird that will be coming back into the area is the American tree sparrow. In the spring and in the summer, we have chipping sparrow, which look kind of similar to the tree sparrow. There are differences, but the American tree sparrow is a wintertime sparrow that we have here in the area, and they are coming back. You can identify the American tree sparrow by their chestnut colored cap on the top of their head, but also if you look at their beak, at their bill, they have what's called a bicolored bill, where the top is black and the bottom part of their bill is yellow. And some other sparrows you might see in your backyard during this migration time are going to be things like fox sparrow. This is a larger sparrow with a bigger, kind of like a pot belly type thing, almost like a robin, not quite as big as a robin, but think of it as a much bigger sparrow. So when you see one, you definitely know. I tend to hear them a lot of the times before I see them. They will kind of flick through all the leaves on the ground as they look for food. But fox sparrow have more of kind of a chestnut all over color and an orangish reddish kind of color to them, and they're quite large. They're going to be larger than your typical house sparrow. So be on the lookout for the fox sparrow. Also white-throated sparrow. These are common in backyards underneath the feeders again, picking up black oil, picking up sunflower hearts. So lots of white-throated sparrows are around. They also sing quite a bit. So if you're using your Merlin app to identify bird calls, you probably will stumble upon some white-throated sparrow that are calling. There's also white-crowned sparrow, which lack that white throat of the white-throated sparrow. They're also larger than the white-throated sparrow, and they have a very nice striking black and white striped cap. They're a very overall grayish colored bird, and you tend to see people tend to see more of the white-throated sparrows in their backyards, but sometimes you'll see a mixed flock of the white-throated sparrows with the white-crowned sparrows coming to your backyard feeders. And then the American goldfinch, although they're here all winter long, they are molting those bright gold feathers. So this is really what they're going to look like in the winter months. So they're not as striking as they are in the spring and in the summer, but they are here all winter long. So you want to make sure that you keep your Niger feeders out and keep the finch mix or your Niger seed filled in your feeder. Pine siskin is another type of bird you might see at your Niger feeders. They have a very pointy, sharp bill, very stripy, and you can see they've got some yellow on their wings. And then what we're really hoping for this year as part of that eruption that we're supposed to get this winter are things like common redpoll. This is the common redpoll right here. Really cute little bird, about chickadee size or so. Loves to come to Niger feeders. You can see they've got that kind of rosy wash on their breast, and then they have that little raspberry cap on the top of their head. Really, really cute bird. No reports of them yet in the area, but we are keeping watch, and we'll let you know if we see some. And then things like winter wren are starting to come back into the area. We'll have Carolina wren here all year, but you might also see some winter wren, a really little round bird. And then the kinglets, where the warblers are tending to leave. The kinglets have been coming in, and we have two different species. The ruby crown kinglet and then the golden crown kinglet tends to flow in a little bit more this time of the year. So lots and lots of bird diversity that is still out there. We'll have other birds still flowing in for the winter months. Word is out whether or not we'll have any snowy owl reports, but we will keep you posted about all that and more. And it looks like there's not any comments at the moment, so we are going to wrap it up. We will be back on Saturday with another broadcast. Until then, have a great week. If you need any kind of hardware, stop on in. It's 20% off. If you're looking for any kind of bird supplies or seed, you can shop anytime online on our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com. And if you're local to the Rochester area, if you're in Monroe County, we've also been doing free deliveries. So you can shop online, you can have it dropped right off to you, absolutely free. So keep that in mind too, especially as we get into the winter months. If it's a little bit more difficult for you to get out or drive, we offer that service for you too. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Saturday. And until then, enjoy your birds, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.